my god, that was amazing. So let's hear it for Witch of the Vale. The couple of times I've seen them live, they've absolutely blew me away, and that time it's just like goose pimples and crying and everything. But I'm going to try and do some other things. So for the last of my interview segments, I'm joined by Matt from Biomechanimal.
Hello, hello.
So you played quite a different set today from having the full band together. So what is it about that setup that excites you? Can you give us a bit of how it works?
Yeah, okay. So to those not initiated in being a fucking nerd, Eurorack is a format of modular synthesizer that I fell in love with a couple of years after finishing the Biomechanimal self-titled album in 2015. So I think it was around 2017. I remember a YouTuber called Andrew Huang did a video on modular synthesis, and I'd been following a couple of guys about it at the time. But it was a way of escaping writing in the box. The way I'd always written before, I was obviously like, when I started Biomechanimal, I was like 16, I had no fucking money, everything was written on a laptop, as a lot of us used to write or do right now, and a lot of you I'm sure do if you are musicians. It was all in the box, it was all done on a lower budget as possible, and I got exhausted with just being hunched over a computer for hours and hours and hours and hours. The beauty of Eurorack to me is that it's so random and generative. So you don't have to like be limited by verse, chorus, copy, paste, doing the same thing or doing everything from scratch. It's generative. You slowly build on this kind of patch that you create. It is an entirely different way of working that doesn't rely on computers or kind of the way that we write modern EDM and modern music at the moment. And it sort of made me fall back in love with sound and music, which are two very separate things. I see it more as an art form as opposed to being music itself.
That's some of the thing that's so exciting about it. It's sort of, it's not just like I'm writing this for a dance floor. It's like I'm writing this because of this is how I feel, and it's just it seems like an expression, or at least that's what I got when I was watching
no. I mean, the whole point of modular that is it's unique to the creator and unique to the person that owns it. So my rack is handpicked by me. The sounds are created completely from scratch. No one will ever do what I did earlier today. Be that for better or for worse, if you liked it or not. Like, I get that it's not for everyone. It is not this kind of structured verse chorus that I'd usually write. You're used to me kind of smashing it up on stage and being this big aggressive guy, and that's completely different to what this is, and I am very happy to have this very separate style. And yet you will see this in the Biomechanimal tracks. If you listen to it's especially obvious in Haksal, which we released earlier this year, and it's also in Waves. These electronic fills and random sounds and sound design, that's all from the modular as well. It's all going to filter its way into my everyday industrial music.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. And you've been one of the people on the scene that's been keeping people entertained in lockdown and doing regular shows. So what are you finding sort of the challenges and some of the positives of this current situation we're stuck in, and how we're sort of working with people?
The way that people are coming together right now, if someone had told me that I'd worked with like, Angel Spit and Shiver and all the wonderful, and Zardonic and all the wonderful people that I've worked with this year, when we all did Infest as well. If someone had told me that this was going to happen this year and all these communities would come together to build this greater thing, I wouldn't have believed you. And yet here we are now building this thing for, I think we had like 150 people watching earlier, and people that would never have even known about Beat Cancer before, known about Biomechanimal or Witch of the Vale or any of this stuff that we do. And I think it's this reaching people that's the most important thing.
I found that sort of the accessibility of music has been something interesting in this sort of situation, is that like artists and streams and events have been able for people to go, and it's sort of like, I think there's been people around like in this country and other countries who've really sort of stepped up and found different ways that we can still have some sort of community, and like I've really enjoyed watching some of your streams.
And thank you. And if anything, it's a new community, right?
Oh yeah.
A lot of the people that watch these things weren't able to go to clubs. People with like disabilities or weren't able to afford to go to clubs or didn't have like the spoons to go to clubs, stuff like this. And they can enjoy the streams from home, and it's something new. It is something fresh, and especially for a scene like industrial that requires fresh talent and being moved on. I think having this kind of freshness and newness, like I get to play music to people that would never have heard the kind of music that I play. Like when I do my streams, we do like this kind of mid-tempo and EDM and all this kind of like dark bass that the Hybrid Black label supports, and that we like other labels like Cannibal and stuff like this. And I love showing this to people, and it's maybe this kind of thing wouldn't even work in a club. You know, the kind of modular thing, like, I don't know if I'd ever be able to do that kind of thing in a club. I think it's awesome that we have this this playing field that we can do whatever we like with.
Yeah,
and I love what people are building.
Yeah,
a platform, exactly.
Yeah, I think that, like, obviously this year has been a shit show in ways, but it's been really interesting. So have you got anything coming up now, or are you back into the studio to write?
Well, I mean, we had 4 singles this year. So we had Waves, we had Hacksaw, we had Enter the Animal, and End Your Life with Nizrock and Finalian just came out. I am now going to take some time off from streaming, time off from releasing music. I'm going to write a new EP. We're going to write some new fucking music, get something really fresh for you. Biomechanimal will be back in 2021. Hopefully we might go on tour.
Yeah.
We might go to Europe. We're going to bring you some new music. Let's see how we fucking go.
Yeah, and so if people want to find your music or more information, where can people find you?
So our label is hybridblack.com. You can find me at biomechanimal.bandcamp.com, or just throw Biomechanimal into Google and you will probably find me. That's Biomechanimal, not Biomechanical. That's a Swedish power metal band.
Close enough.
We got there in the end.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching.
Yes,
Give
so
generously.
Thank you so much to Matt for talking to me and all the artists, and we're going to now hand over to Lee Chaos.